Are we doing this? We having a talk?
Welcome to the Third Wind channel and the review for the big season 3 finale of iCarly. What an episode we just witnessed, which sends a ripple down all of iCarly's long history. It's monumental. Let's get into it. The details, the emotions, the history. And now I say, let's review for potentially the last time ever. First, let's go through the events of the episode. The episode starts with a sight of Marissa and Lubert's wedding being presented, which has been put together by Marissa's supposed best friend, Danica, a character who was introduced to us earlier in this season. Carly immediately realizes that something isn't right, and Freddie catches on to this. I love that he's so in tune with her emotions. Carly says, "This is not what Marissa would have wanted," and soon after, we get a confirmation of this. Carly is immediately vocal about what Marissa would actually want, with her experience of interpreting what Marissa's cryptic words actually mean. Marissa is disappointed with Danica and impressed with Carly, who she presents as the new maid of honor, who gets to wear a pretty foul vest, which Harper is tasked in fixing with a very self-aware joke about helping Carly every week. Carly commits to redecorating just right, and the reaction from the gang is surprised, a little shocked, yet strangely they seem to have trust in Carly. Freddie then tells Carly that he's appreciative of her efforts to help his mom, and she replies saying Freddie is family to her, which makes his mom family too, but she doesn't stop there. She goes on to emotionalize what a moment a wedding is, trying to get into the head of someone who's getting married, but the thing she says, it feels like she's talking directly to Freddie. "I didn't expect to fall for you, but you were there all along. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." So crazy how your whole future starts with just one question. We will find out that Carly does indirectly remove herself from the idea of getting married, but it's clear that on a subconscious level, this is a very telling sign to Freddie about how she actually feels, and Freddie does end up seeing this as a direct invitation to propose to her. Freddie consults Spencer. His go-to person is Carly, but when it's about Carly, Spencer is the clear next option. Spencer is effectively Freddie's best friend anyway. He tells Spencer what happened, and Spencer is unsure of what it means, knowing Carly can be hard to read, but he is 100% for this marriage and tasks himself with finding out how Carly really feels. Freddie warns Spencer not to be too direct, but Spencer is too pure. His excitement will make this reconnaissance mission interesting. This episode is all about the interactions between Carly, Freddie, and Spencer, and they develop in a pretty amazing way in this episode, but we have some other things going on too. Let's have a little subplot intermission before we get into the meat of this episode. Harper and Tinsley help Millicent out with her speech for the wedding, which she's been working hard towards, but after Millicent reads her speech, Harper and Tinsley make it all about themselves and their relationship. There is a comparison made that in their relationship, Tinsley is the flower to Harper's gardener. We learn, however, that Harper wasn't always the helper. She of course comes from the 1%, and her trauma is that she now serves the 1%. This past becomes realized when Harper gets sick from some expired sushi from Carly's fafuda. Harper needs help from Tinsley to finish Carly's vest, but she takes it a few steps too far and starts making Tinsley serve her, similarly to how her nanny used to serve her. Tinsley puts up with it but is clearly unamused. Harper eventually gets over her food sickness and makes final preparations for Marissa's wedding outfit, but she keeps her obnoxious attitude. Marissa sends her down to earth with some words of truth and presents her with her bridesmaid's dress, which is made from polyester. To Harper, a poor man's fabric. This grounds Harper all the way back down, which pleases Tinsley, and she's fixed Carly's vest. Great to see someone helping Harper for once. I guess this whole plotline serves to grow Tinsley and Harper's relationship, but it still leaves me curious about where Harper's character is going. More on that later. Subplot intermission is over. Are we ready to talk about the rest of this episode? Because oh boy is it emotional. Spencer sets out on his reconnaissance mission, which is supposed to be discreet, but he jumps straight to, "Is that hand feeling naked? Wouldn't it be better with a ring?" Carly knows her brother and knows something is up. She makes him fess up, which she does immediately after she yells, "Spencer!" and he says, "Freddie wants to propose, isn't that great?" Carly screams, "No," with a big exclamation mark. Why is she so opposed? Well, we won't find out yet, but when we do find out why, oh boy, Shivers. Spencer reports back to Freddie as the terrible middleman he is, but come on, you don't task Spencer of all people as the middleman between his two closest people. He can't be dishonest with either of them. Spencer tells Freddie that a proposal is a hard no. Freddie becomes flustered and confused. His mind is racing. He starts to question what their relationship is to Carly. Spencer then has the audacity to come with this.
Customarily, when someone does you a favor, you tip them.
Bruh, Spencer is just too funny. Like, where is this even coming from? He's rich. We then cut to Carly streaming to her fans, a sort of behind the scenes of setting up this wedding. We also see Carly's relationship with her new baby plant, Allegra. In the middle of her stream, Spencer comes in and starts going off about way too much info for her public audience about illegal fireworks and her relationship status. Carly rushes to end the stream. This whole next scene is hilarious. Spencer tells Carly that he told Freddie all about her not wanting marriage, and now he is no longer considering proposing, and Spencer is just so happy with himself. Carly freaks out. She's been working so hard to make every element of their relationship perfect, and now Freddie is in this state. In the midst of this freak out, right after she says this situation couldn't get any worse, it gets worse, as she accidentally makes the fireworks go off and destroys all the plants and decorations in a spectacular explosion. Spencer, of course, then asks for a tip for his reconnaissance, which is too funny. My god, Spencer. You are literally in the process of disintegrating a historic couple. Now we get the Shay sibling moment we've been waiting for all season. They got so little time together this season, but I'd say what we see in this scene makes up for it. Spencer in the rubble helps talk Carly down and assures her that the two of them are endgame. Carly says that she knows that they are, and she wants to be with Freddie forever. It's at this moment Carly explains why she freaked out over the idea of Freddie proposing. The idea of a wedding has always freaked her out. The big white dress, everybody looking at her, everyone except her mom. This is the second time ever we hear her mom being mentioned. I audibly gasped, and Spencer's reply is perfect.
Are we doing this? We having a talk? You never wanted to talk about mom before.
It's so sincere, this moment, and I love the relationship between Carly and Spencer. This moment reminds me of when they said goodbye to each other in I, Goodbye. It's all making sense to me now why this show could go on without Sam and Gibby, but never without this trio of Carly, Spencer, and Freddie. It's just right. That's the heart of the show. But moving on, we see Carly realize more about herself in this moment. She freaked out. Not because of Freddie, but because of what her mom did to her and Spencer. She didn't want to think about marriage in her life because she would instantly connect it with her mother, and she didn't want to associate herself with her mother, which Spencer relates to, telling Carly that there's probably a reason why he isn't married either. After all, Carly and Spencer are both known for having surface level flings. But the main point Spencer's trying to make to Carly in this exchange is that she's nothing like their mom, and she would never do to them what their mom did to them, which lights a light in Carly. Man, I love how they did this, and I wanted more. And when I realized they weren't going to say anything more about their mom, I started to scribble aggressively in my notes, but yeah, this will develop. The wedding site is a mess, and Carly gets up early with 6 hours to go till the wedding starts to salvage this. But when she opens the door, she sees that everything has already been set up, and it's done beautifully. It's revealed that Spencer and Freddie stayed up all night perfecting the decorations, which is just perfect. Spencer then heads off, and Freddie and Carly finally address the mix-up. With Freddie confused, he gets to the point and asks this.
Yeah, okay, so what does that mean? What do you want, Carly?
Freddie, I want you.
How sweet is that? Carly then details that she freaked out because she never wanted to get married, but with Freddie, she wants to start thinking about this sort of stuff. Carly wants to share all of her feelings with Freddie because he is her person, and she tells him that she hopes that he always will be, and Freddie assures her of this. The scene ends with Freddie still dumbfounded and maybe slightly annoyed with the fact that Lubert, of all people, will be marrying his mom, and they joke about blowing up the venue again and kiss. Now we head into the final scene of the episode, the wedding. The true mystery of where this season would end was always set to be here, and it lives up to it. It's revealed that Allegra, Carly's flesh-eating plant, didn't die in the explosion, and it seems like it has devoured Danica, which is comically overlooked by the gang. And now those predictions from you guys about someone dying in the episode were running through my head. It was pretty funny. Everyone takes their places for the wedding ceremony, and by the way, who in the world are all these people? But anyways, in the moment when Marissa and Lubert were meant to walk in, instead we get an injured Danica, who's a little hurt by the fact that they went on with the wedding despite thinking she was dead. Funny stuff. However, Danica tells the gang that she's received a text message that Marissa and Lubert have eloped to the location of their dreams for this day, Las Vegas. I was truly surprised. The wedding is off. Carly is happy to take off the vest, and Millicent is super bummed as she's been looking forward to this day for so long and asks if anyone else could get married instead. That's when we get a roller coaster of emotions with looks between Freddie and Carly, just like the finale of season 2. They realize that they are ready, overflowing with love. They, in this moment, non-verbally decide they want to get married, and it's beautiful. But then, Spencer sees someone by the door. He is shocked. Carly then looks over Freddie's shoulder and her head goes numb. This moment felt like 10 minutes. My mind was racing. Who was at the door? Could it be Sam? Gibby? Who could it be? I'd just gotten over the fact that we would know more about Carly's mom, but then Carly tear-jerkingly says, "Mom?" Freddie turns around and the episode ends. We don't get to see who the person is at the door, but at least we get to know who it is. Imagine if they didn't reveal who it was. Oof. That would be heavy, but this is heavy, and this is it. Maybe for good, but let's hope not. Either way, we're in for a long winter. But this review must go on. I want to take a look at our characters one last time this season, starting with our episode's main focus, Carly. Carly is dealing with everything everywhere all at once in this episode. She's helping Marissa put on the perfect wedding, and I love how she knew exactly what Marissa wanted for her wedding, showing that after all these years, just like Freddie has a bond with Spencer, Carly also has one with Marissa. This then in turn brings up the conversation of her own wedding with Freddie. If that wasn't enough, she and Spencer finally had the talk about her mother, a topic in silence for 20 years. There's a lot of built-up tension that is released in these interactions, and when things are just about to be perfect between Carly and Freddie, realizing that they are ready, Carly's mom appears, and this will shake things up in a way we haven't seen before. The wedding will have to wait. We'll need to explore this in depth in an updated Carly's mom video, but it's all very emotional. I think it's hard to imagine what she might be going through right now. Freddie is next, and with Freddie I'd like to focus on some of his writing that I really appreciated. His character is kept consistent from 2007 all the way till now. Everything has made sense. In this episode, we see him second guess his relationship with Carly, despite them being super solid. And I feel that's so natural for his character as he has been second guessing what that relationship means for his whole life. I also love his relationship with Spencer. Love to see the two of them as best friends. I knew that he would never approach Spencer as Carly's father, but as his best friend. Next, let's talk about a real wildcard in this episode. He always brings the energy to the show, Spencer. While Spencer does cause a bit of a hurricane in this episode, he proves that his sincerity and his honesty is a virtue. He brings Carly and Freddie to a conclusion in a way that's much faster than they would have gotten to cryptically on their own. But even more importantly in this episode, Spencer, the parent, shows up. He might feel similarly to Carly about missing having a mom, but he has been strong for her. What a great character. Next, a controversial one this season, Harper. I wish I could say I feel differently after this episode, but I still think Harper is in a really awkward spot. Her Tinsley subplot does effectively nothing and doesn't provide much clarity about where this is going. I don't think it's too harsh to say the elements she has brought to this season might be the only weaknesses for an otherwise monumental season. That being said, I appreciated the writer's self-aware poke at Harper in the beginning of the episode, with her saying that she is constantly helping Carly every episode. Moving on, and a smaller role in this episode, Millicent. One has to feel that Millicent has been left in the dust in this episode. Harper and Tinsley overlooked her when she asked for help, which is something she doesn't do very often. Her home situation is about to look very different without her having much say in it, and her grandparents ditched her after promising many months ago that she would play a role in their wedding. Poor girl. I hope this gets expanded on further next season. Our next character, the flower, Tinsley. Tinsley is obviously connected with Harper, and it makes it so that things said about Harper also apply to her. Tinsley is like Wes or like Pearl in what her role is in the show. I don't know how they'll make her different, because if they don't, then she'll be gone by the end of the first couple episodes of the next season, maybe with Harper. I don't want to be too negative. This is a great season and Tinsley is a part of this season. We've just been adding and dumping these side romantic interests over the seasons like Dutch and the previously mentioned ones, so I don't want to get too invested this time around. Lastly, let's talk about a character that was surprisingly quite absent in this episode, Marissa. I initially thought Marissa and Lubert would play a big part in this episode, especially after seeing pictures like this, but it turns out this episode is far from being about Marissa and her wedding. What we can briefly discuss is the future. Marissa and Lubert will be moving in together into the Benson apartment, which means Freddie is out of there. Super interesting to see what the living arrangements will be next season with all these serious relationships going on. That's it for character spotlights this season. Paul didn't end up appearing, a bit of deja vu from episode 6 where I thought he was going to appear as well, but it makes sense that he wasn't there. Would be pretty funny if he ended up going on a date with Gwen after all. Let's move into Easter eggs, an episode review tradition of course. What's interesting is that the original is mentioned very sparsely in this finale. It's mostly revival Easter eggs. Those revival Easter eggs include Harper working at Skybucks, Carly finally graduating high school, the Fufuda sushi, Freddie's failed marriages, Carly's Tuscan strolls, Lubert's bugs, and most importantly, Carly's mom, which is never mentioned in the original by the way, only ever mentioned before in the pilot of the revival. We have 2 Easter eggs from the original show. One of them I feel like could be unintentional, which is when Carly puts on her French impersonation. I feel like this is a throwback to both the pilot of the original when we have a French audition and also from the French poupette guy. That's a maybe. The other Easter egg from the original, and the last one I caught, was a mention of Sokko and his cousin Boomer, which was mentioned in IQ. Finally, for this review, we have analysis and final takeaways. As I mentioned earlier, I made a video on my theory about Carly's mom. The video is obviously a little outdated now because there's new info, but I feel the questions I asked in the video still hold true. There are still a lot of question marks about Carly's mom and the timelines, but what we got answered in this episode, however, is Spencer and Carly seemingly do have the same mom, and as I suspected if that was the case, Spencer got to spend more time with mom than Carly did. We know this because he apparently has stories about her. I also questioned why it was never brought up, and here we got to know that Carly never wanted to talk about it. All very interesting, and we're definitely going to be talking plenty about her going forward. A quick mention next. It shows a lot about Harper's relationship with Carly that despite being extremely sick, she was still trying to fight through it to fix Carly's vest. Shows good character in Harper. Moving on, the acting in this episode was phenomenal, especially from Miranda and Jerry. The highlight for me is in the details. Notice how Carly's ears move when she's seeing her mom. Things like this elevate the show so much. Lastly, I love how many different predictions we came up with for the finale, but none of us got it spot on. But to all of you who believe that Carly's mom was coming back, props, it happened. I think the writers deserve a pat on the back for writing a finale that surprised us in one way or another as promised. Which leads me to the final words for this review. What a season we've had. I've loved it, and I've loved making these videos for you guys. Hopefully this isn't the last season. None of this would be possible though without you guys. Thanks for going on this iCarly journey together with me. But best believe for us, season 3 isn't over yet. I wanted to do at least one more Q&A for this season and review the season, rank the episodes, do some character analysis and some predictions, etc. You can tell I have a lot of ideas. In short, I won't be going anywhere. And of course, we also have Zoe 102. That will be it for this finale review. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and thank you to Third Win superfans Sarah, Christian, Rose, and Jaden. If you want to see more Third Win videos, they exist exclusively on the Third Win superfans tier. Currently, we are doing a fun simulation asking what if the characters of iCarly were in a season of Survivor. Join the channel Discord to join the iCarly discussion, but that's all. What a beautiful season we had. See you all this weekend with more iCarly content.